NFP.com, its subsidiaries, or sponsors. Encouraging, educating, and empowering you into action. This is Warriors Talk with your host, Lady ReShell.
Hello. Welcome to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we move away from awareness towards action. It's Relationship Monday, and our topic for today is stages of a rebound relationship. We are live on Intellectual Radio. We just heard from Roman with the Drive at 5. Keep it locked right here on Intellectual Radio. Allow us to feed your brain. On the last episode of Warriors Talk, I spoke about signs he's using you. Go over to YouTube, type in Intellectual Radio, and stay connected. The quote of the day is, "Until you get comfortable being alone, you'll never know if you're choosing someone out of love or loneliness." We are grateful for our sponsor, Emmanuel Church-of-God-in-Christ with Pastor Michael Richardson, who has a special message for us.
Greetings, I am Pastor Michael Richardson.
And I am First Lady Anastasia Richardson from the Emmanuel Church of God in Christ. We're located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago, Illinois. We are building upon a solid foundation.
And we're inviting you to join us every Sunday morning on Facebook Live at EmanuelC.O.G.I.C at 10:15 Central Standard Time. And you can also view our videos on our YouTube channel at EmanuelC.O.G.I.C-MR. Once again, this is Pastor Michael Richardson
and First Lady Anastasia Richardson, and we're from the Emmanuel Church of God in Christ. We are building upon a solid foundation.
Here are your trending topics for today. Officials have been urging people to mask up and avoid gatherings altogether if you have any symptoms of COVID-19. Chicago and several suburb counties are now at a medium community level, defined by the Center for Disease Control as having more than 200 new cases per 100,000 people in the last 7 days. There unfortunately is a misconception that we are out of this. And so I think people are not cautious as they were before. And this is coming from the director of the Infection Prevention of UI Health. Chicago city officials are now strongly recommending masks be worn indoor public places like the CTA and the Chicago public schools. Those are your trending topics for today. Co-hosting with me is none other than cancer activist, motivational speaker, and the founder of the Gal Foundation, Rizal Gilmore, aka The Biz. Hey, Rizal.
Hey, Lady ReShell.
How are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
Yes. You ready to get started?
Always.
Oh, I told everybody to say a prayer for you about your mom. So,
yeah, that's definitely been, tiring me out. Talking to doctors, talking to what's them people, the care people. It's been a lot.
Yeah, I know I did a show on caregivers, and I know that you are your mom's primary caregiver. So I know that's a lot of weight on your shoulders. So just know that you are continuously in our prayers as well as your mom.
Thank you. I'm sure she thanks you.
Yeah. So we're talking about stages of a rebound relationship. When you hear that rebound, what do you think about, Rizal?
Well, I think about rebound that you're just using someone to pass time, to get over kind of like what you just got out of. So maybe your feelings aren't really true to this other person. So, you're just jumping up and grabbing whatever you can get.
Yeah, I think about that's a great explanation. I think it's somebody who's not healed. Like you're not really healed, and not really over that person either before you decide to move on somewhere else. Have you ever been in a rebound situation either end?
That's a good question. I think I might have been someone's rebound before.
Did you know?
Because then you don't put the time. You really don't put the time and effort into the person, and maybe time will go by. Then you realize like, okay, let me try to put 100% now into this person. But by that time they're probably turned off because you've been treating them, a certain way. But that's what the show is about.
Yeah, I get that. Sometimes you may not know until you just maybe take a step back and then be like, wait a minute, like, yeah, I haven't seen this person. Or when y'all together, you notice that they're not really there. Like they may be there in body, but their mind is not really there because it's,
Yeah.
somewhere else. They're not emotionally connected to you or tied to you because, they haven't really let go or gotten over the other person.
Right. And now that I think about it, I have been a rebound guy before.
Wow. So you have? Well, what was you feeling at that point, Rizal? Did you break up with the person? Did you leave the person?
Well, we wasn't like in a relationship. We were working on trying to build something. And, in my eyes, of course, I think I was doing everything that I was supposed to do. But by the time that person finally came around, I was like, no, I'm not interested. You can't have one person putting 100% in and the other person is only putting 25. It's not going to work. You got to be there totally so both y'all can really vibe and mesh together. Otherwise, it's just going to be it's setting up for failure.
I totally agree. Hey, Lisa.
Lisa D.
Yeah, I totally agree. You'll know when you going all in and a person is not. So the way that you know that somebody is on a rebound is that one of the ways that you know is that they recently has broken up with somebody. Like when I say recent, like the first maybe 3 months ago they just broke up with somebody, or 6 months they just signed their divorce papers. So those are like recent. Like it says according to like the statistics and the information that they have out, is saying that you should not date these people if they only 3 months out of a relationship and then 6 months after signing their divorce papers. It's saying to give them space.
Well, I don't know. Because even though they just signed the divorce papers, doesn't mean that they wasn't separated for 2 years prior. Or they're getting out of a relationship. Usually they just, 3 months getting out of a relationship. They were probably out of the relationship before the relationship ended. So I don't know about that one. I mean, but again, that's just my thoughts and thinking.
When you think about when I thought about the person who was just recently getting a divorce, like even though they just signed those papers, like you wonder like why did they just sign the papers? Like were they holding on, maybe thinking, we were gonna have another chance to be together, we were gonna try to work something out, and then okay, they couldn't, so okay, now we're gonna sign these papers. Like what took so, and I know divorce sometimes it takes a while.
Well, I actually can speak from experience on this. So I dated a young lady for 2 years who was still married to her husband, and her husband left, moved out, started a whole nother family, had a baby and everything. And the problem was she was waiting for him to pay for the divorce, which was only maybe about $400. So it carried on for that long. So that's why I say, they could have been separated for such amount of time. And, now she's in a whole new relationship and everything. So it all depends.
Wow.
Thanks, Walter.
Says, it's great to see Rizal back.
It's always great to be back. It's all, my Chicago family out there, y'all really treat me so well. And I really missed y'all last week, but thank God I'm here back this week. A lot of things weighing on my shoulders, but that's what warriors do. We fight to the very end. So
that's right.
We're going to talk about it.
So we're talking about stages of a rebound relationship, and we just gave you the definition of what that was. And Rizal just gave you an example of a time when he was actually in a rebound relationship. Let's talk about some of the unhealthy consequences of being in this rebound relationship. Oh, Lisa agrees with Walter. She says, yes, it's great to see you. Okay, so one thing, Rizal, would be emotional dependence on the person that you just got with. Like you expected them to just take away all this pain that you have, or you kind of like burying your pain by being with this person, not really dealing with the pain from the breakup?
That ain't gonna work. That person is you who choose happiness. You have to choose to let that relationship go. You can't bring your past and let it ride in the front seat with you if you're trying to move forward. So that ain't gonna work if you're gonna depend on somebody to take the emotional pain and all that stuff away. Mm-mm. You gotta let that's gradually over time as you start to get your head together about things and not think about what was and think about what could be.
Yes, I totally agree. They're not emotionally available for you, but they want you to cover their emotions while they get through this process, this grieving process, which they're really not trying to deal with at the time.
Right. And how are you going to get through to somebody who has this barrier up because they're still stuck where they was with this other person? It's not going to be fair to you.
But what if they tell you, okay, yeah, I'm okay. I'm over that person. Like, we broke up, but I'm good.
I mean, hey, look, sometimes you have to roll the dice and take a chance. It's a 50-50. Sometimes you just got to let the chips fall where they may. It may work out, it may not. It's a 50-50 chance. What are you willing to put up with? What are you going to tolerate? Are you going to feel some type of way because this person is treating you some type of way?
Pay attention to the actions. That'll tell you a lot. If they are, their actions is going to tell you everything about how they're feeling, what they're not feeling, if they're feeling you. And sometimes we like to make up our own scenario in our head of what's going on in the relationship and not really being present to the relationship. Or lack of a relationship.
Let me tell you, I hate when, let's just say, I don't like when people draw up conclusions about things, whether it's people, relationships, or whatever the case, and then in their head trying to bring them to the forefront and make them factual. That's definitely wrong. You just setting up for an argument. Lord have mercy, may the force be with you.
Yeah. Okay. So, may the force be with you. So unhealthy consequences of being in a rebound relationship. The next one is setting yourself up for manipulation. Especially if this person know, that you just got out of a relationship. They know that you're vulnerable and you don't want to be by yourself. They could use that.
They could, but hopefully this day and age, nobody is that sinister to play on your emotions of you just getting out of a relationship with somebody. Like, you know what? This person needs somebody. Let me step in. Let me make them feel good for the moment, get what I can get, and then get out while I can.
You don't think that still happens?
I'm praying. I'm crossing my fingers and praying that's not the case. But again, it's all about age and maturity.
That's true. Another way that you are suffering these unhealthy consequences is that there is an impeding risk of narcissism. We already know what narcissism is. This person is treating you like you really don't even exist and you're there to serve them. Everything is about them.
Yeah, because they're the victim. They're the hurt one. They're the one that's going through it. But again, don't bring your baggage from the past relationship into your new thing, what you're trying to do. Again, you're just setting yourself up for failure. It's not going to take the time. Take the time. I mean, it's so many things to this, and I believe the narcissism will, play a part in it somehow, because a person is going to, whatever happened in that relationship or whatever, how y'all broke out, you're not going to want it to happen in the new one. So you're going to change some things and try to control some things now in this thing. And that's where it's going to go haywire.
Wow. The next one is increase your fear of rejection. So you're in this rebound situation because number one, you're fearing the rejection, especially if you know. If I know that this person just got out of a relationship, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna be like, they may not be available for me. And then the person that just got out of the relationship may be fearing rejection because if that person broke up with them and now they feel like, oh, I'm with this person may do the same thing. So they're really not there emotionally.
Right. And we've said this plenty times before. You could be single and still not available. That is a serious fact. You need to work on yourself. And when I say work, take time. Don't take forever. Don't get yourself stuck. Just don't start looking for the logical reasons, because what I say, you'll end up in the corner with a bottle of Jack Daniels and a box of Newports trying to figure out what went wrong. And if you boo-hooing and doing all this stuff, and then you leave yourself stuck and you can't get out.
Well, Lisa said we are responsible for our own happiness, and it is up to us to get our emotions in control. We must allow time to heal before the hurt restruck. I think, and then everybody has their own timing for healing. So you really can't say, oh, girl, you should be over this by now. Why you're not over him by now? Like, come on, let's get it together. Like, take the time that you need to heal, whatever it is that you need to feed your soul with for you to move on and make better decisions. And like Rizal said, whatever you learned in that relationship that you didn't like, that didn't work out for you, when you get in the next relationship, don't try to like punish this person because the other person didn't do all those things that you want, but you communicate with that person and let them know what it is that you need from the relationship, and then get them an opportunity to see if they're able to provide that, if they even can provide it.
Yeah. You got to give the person a chance. Give them, you now working with a clean slate. You're not working on that old chalkboard that you was working with. Erase all of that stuff that's on there and now start to write some new, fresh chapters of your life.
Another one they say resolve is, instead of solving your deeper issues, which is what we're talking about too, like getting help, you seek that short-term temporary solutions, which would be rebounding with somebody else instead of dealing with your issues.
Well, maybe they're trying to get the other person to deal with the issues with them. Maybe, misery loves company.
I don't want to deal with your issues. If you just got out of a relationship, I want you to deal with that. I know.
No, because if we in a relate and that happens, and me and this person, they're going to talk about him. He used to blah 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 blah. He used to smoke Black and Miles, and I told him I don't like that smoke. And here you go, you doing the same thing. No,
that's a red flag right there. That's a total red flag.
But know what you're getting into beforehand. If you know you don't like cigar smoke, then you ain't going to go for a smoker. Don't just settle because, oh, he's cute, but he do this. If that ain't what you like or what you want, dead it.
Don't entertain it. So stages of a rebound relationship. The first one is why people do it is because they feel like the grass is greener on the other side.
For a rebound, they think that?
If you leave that relationship and you go to somebody else, that other person is the rebound.
Well, let's just say that person will make them feel good for a moment until you begin to put 100% in and really get to know this person, and that you really want to take the time to forget about the other person and really focus on this person. So I don't know about the grass being greener on the other side. I'm quite sure there's more to everybody, but everybody got their flaws and they got their issues. So again, it's all what you're able to depend and what's the word I'm looking for? What you're able to tolerate. This person may have a little bit more than what the other person have. So guess what? Now you're going to learn a little bit more from the person now that you're seeking. So if that's calling the grass greener on the other side, then hey, that's what it is.
The grass is greener on the other side is the 80-20 rule. You're with somebody who's giving you 80, but you leave for somebody who gives you 20. And that 20 to you may be a lot. And then down the road, you'll be like, oh, shoot, I made a mistake. Like, I should have stayed with that 80. I could have lived without that 20.
Do I look like the thinking emoji that's on there with you got the, something to think about. And I have, but 80-20 rule applies to a lot of things, so.
Lisa says the time for healing is different for each of us. However, if you are still dealing with that same hurt after many years have passed, it's time for a self-evaluation.
And I totally agree. And that's what I say all the time. Don't leave yourself stuck in 3 years went by and you still complaining about this dude that son left you or whatever. You ain't working on you no more. You stuck. You struggling with you. That's what the problem is. Difference between working on you and struggling with you.
Wow. So stages of a rebound relationship. So the first one was the grass is greener on the other side. At least that's what you think until you get over there. The second one is the infatuation / honeymoon stage. And we all know what the honeymoon stage looks like.
I don't.
You do. You've been on a honeymoon before.
No, actually I haven't. Even when I was married, we never got a chance to do a honeymoon.
You know the honeymoon stage when you first got with your wife and how those first, maybe that first year was like when y'all first got together. Huh. That's that honeymoon stage. It lasts anywhere from 2 months to 2 years.
Let's say my roses turned into dandelions at a certain stage, but still in all, smelled good. I loved the look of them, so I was still good.
So people that are in a rebound relationship, they go through this honeymoon infatuation stage to where it's like, oh my goodness, like this is the best thing that ever happened to me. Like you feel like this person is meeting all of your needs. It's just everything about this person, is just great. And you're like, man, I feel like I made the right choice. Like everything is just going so good with this person during that honeymoon stage.
Until some time go by and now you got JJ, he totally acting different and you like, well, wait a minute, you wasn't like this a couple months ago and y'all ain't getting along, you're at each other's throats. That's the communication and taking the time to get to know the person.
Well, you don't see that. You don't see any of that during that honeymoon stage. It's just like the red flags, you'll just let them slide because, they're love bombing you. They're giving you everything, especially if you don't talk to them and told them what it is that you like. They're giving you all of that.
That's why I don't tell people what I like. That's why I always tell people I would rather sit and learn you than to ask you what you like. Because if I learn you, then I never have to ask what it is. I can just go ahead and do it. But when I ask you, then that's just setting me up to go ahead. Oh, she liked it? Okay, well, let me go get that. But if I see that's what you like, and that's spending the time with you. I think that's more important and more invaluable than anything. Like, you know what? I notice you always get margarita with salt around the rim. There you go.
All right, so you're gonna learn her and then cater to her that way.
Ooh, you just put up a good one. But yes.
The third stage of a rebound relationship is the comparison stage. So you're comparing this person to the person that you just broke up with. Now, you was just in that honeymoon stage, right? And everything was going so good. This person was meeting all of your needs and checking off all of your boxes, and you just could not get enough of this person. Now, you have sat back and look at this person, and now you're comparing them and you're pointing out the differences, not to the person, but in your mind of the different things about what your person used to do, and now this person don't do it that way, and you really weighing heavily on the person that you were with before.
Right. And one thing is, you can't compare your last relationship or marriage or whatever y'all got going on to the person who you was with, because one, Everybody is different. They're going to think different. They're going to do different. Everything is not going to be the same as it was. If you want things the way that they were, then you should have worked things out with the person that you was with. And being that you haven't, obviously you broke up or you departed that for a reason. So it's time to relearn somebody. If it's time to start that process all over again. And I know we hate to do it, but you have to put in the trust and put in all these different things. But that's those components are needed to make this thing move.
They had irreconcilable differences. That's why they're not together.
Well, she should have did more.
All right. Number 4, reality and conflict. So now reality has set in. You're out of that honeymoon stage. You don't compare them to your ex, and they don't measure up to the ex, okay? They're not measuring up. So now reality has set in. You like, what did I do? Why am I here with this person? And you having some type of turmoil inside of you because you feel like you made a mistake.
No, the question is, why am I here with this person? The question should be, what is it that I want this time around? So I don't go back to what I just came from. What am I looking for? You need to get a checklist for yourself to know, well, I don't want this, and I don't want to do that. And go down that list and see by the time the reality kicked in after the honeymoon stage, you should know a little something about this person. Otherwise, you've just been wasting time if you haven't picked up on anything, with this individual.
True. Lisa says, during the honeymoon stage, the blinders allow us to disregard everything we see wrong in fear of being alone. Wow. And that's so true. I mean, that's just so true. A lot of people do not want to be alone. So they will disregard certain things they see, how people treat them, just so they can have somebody there for that companionship, a piece of somebody, and they'll put up with it. They'll ignore it.
As I said, I pray and hope, and I cross my fingers that isn't happening in this time, day, and age. But it comes down to, again, maturity, experience, and just tiredness. Like, you get tired of going through the same thing, especially of a certain age, and we're going through. Look, are we doing this or not? What are we doing? You're not going to agree on everything. Everybody's not going to be you want them to be your man in shining arbor, but what if he's your man in aluminum foil? He's still a good man. Mama, just because he ain't got all the ingredients, don't still mean that you can't cook.
I'm gonna catch that when I get home. Because some things, if you don't have all the ingredients, it's just not gonna taste good. You can't substitute. And I would say don't substitute on your core things. You can substitute on something. You can substitute on weight. You can substitute on height. You can substitute on skin complexion. Certain things you can be like, okay, yeah, he don't have that. Okay, I'm okay with that. But your core things, no. Kenya said,
that's why I was reading Kenya's comment.
She said they figure out that having a piece of man is better than not having a man at all, which is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous because we do know a lot of people, Kenya, that's like this, that we know that they person ain't crap and they still there. And we were like, why are you there with that piece of man? Like,
but wait a minute. Think about this. You're talking about the pizza man. I don't know what you're talking about pizza delivery, but look.
No, she's saying pizza man, like a piece of a man. That's what she's saying.
Okay. I'm looking at pizza and I started to get hungry. I was like, look, I'm about to say, this guy, look, he got a job. He can feed you with his pizza every night. He got a car because he out there delivering. So look, that's 3 things. That's almost a handful right there. He only 2 shy. Look,
she meant a piece of a man.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I agree. It is ridiculous. So 5, stages of a rebound relationship that remorse and regret sets in. You feeling bad because this did not work out for you. And I don't even know if you really intended on it for it to work out for you, or you just really needed. You know how they say the best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody else? That saying that, we hear a lot of times. Maybe that person was feeling that way. Like, if I get under somebody, that I don't really have to think about what happened. I don't have to deal with that grief. I don't have to, mourn it. This one guy told me he was getting divorced from his wife. I think it's his wife. He found out his wife was cheating and they was getting a divorce. And he said he wanted to be hypnotized so that he could not feel the pain of dealing with what was going on. And I'm like, what? Like, who? Why would you want to be hypnotized? And he didn't want to feel that pain. I'm like, at some point, you got to go through that pain. You have to go through it.
Reality sets in. So you don't want to feel the pain. You might as well get you a bottle of Bacardi then.
Oh, you don't want to do that. You do not want to do that. I got you, Kenya. I know exactly what you meant. Yeah, that regret is something else, because the regret, it'll either make you, even if that may not have been a good situation for you, the regret would make you think it was, and you may go back or try to go back to that situation because you're feeling some type of way. You may try to, what you do is you try to reconcile with them. So either you came to the conclusion that, I really want to be with that person, so I'm going to reconcile with that person. You're going to try at least to approach them. Or you're just going to cut it off with the person that you with, and you're gonna get out of there. You're gonna move on. So that's the next one. You're gonna either reconcile with them or you're gonna move on. And I seen this show, Rizal, on it was a show. I'm trying to figure out the name of the show, but Ultimatum. So Ultimatum, you come to this show and you bring your partner with you. You give them an ultimatum. And most of the people ultimatum was they wanted to get married. And so you either leave with that person or you pick somebody else. So they'll split you up and you get to pick somebody else that you may be feeling. You get to date them. And a lot of these people, when they was doing that, they had that, when they was meeting the people for the first time, they had to spend 3 weeks with these people. And then once the 3 weeks was up, they had to spend 3 weeks with their people, right? The person that they came there with. And if you could have seen how these people were, like, when they got back with their person, they was just like, oh, they did not want to be with their person. Like, they was nasty to their person. Like, they didn't want to be there. And it reminded me of the grass was greener on the other side, because you felt like you had this little taste of this person, right? It was only 3 weeks. But you feel like with this 3 weeks, I can make something happen with this person, right? But then when it boiled down to it, they had to pick the person that they were going to marry. And one of the people that I was like, oh no, she's not going to pick him. She's going to pick the other guy, right? Because the whole time she kept saying how the other guy made her feel. And she was complaining about the guy. The guy gave her the ultimatum. He wanted to marry her. She wasn't ready to get married. But she picked him at the end.
It's the black girl.
No. No, not that one.
I think I've seen the last one, I think.
It was Kobe and
Kobe got married.
Right.
Kobe got married to the girl, and they having a baby now.
I didn't think she was gonna pick him. I thought she was gonna pick the black guy. And she ended up picking him. And then the one you're talking about, I didn't think he was gonna pick her. I was like, he's not gonna pick her. And he ended up proposing to her. Yeah. But
they still ain't together.
I saw that on the reunion. That they're not together.
And they look real good, because she kind of reminded me like a little Megan Good. And then the other guy that she was dating, that was a whole mess right there. The other black guy.
He was a hot mess. Yeah. Yeah. But I liked Jake and April, right? Jake and April that was together. And Jake he had a connection with the other girl. He didn't want to come on the show. It was called ultimatum. So you gave your person an ultimatum, and you had 3 weeks with one person that you was feeling, and then you had another 3 weeks with your person, and then you had to pick who you want to be with. You're supposed to leave there engaged. And Jake didn't want to come, so April brought him, and then Jake ended up connecting with the other girl.
Yeah, he left April.
He left April. And that makes me think about the grass is greener on the other side, because you have a little taste of these people and you think, oh, this is everything that I need. But then Jake and the other girl wasn't together either.
Yeah, because they were supposed to go on a vacation anywhere in the world, gave her tickets, and they didn't go. So it's like, what happened within that time frame? Because when you picked her, she was like everything you ever needed. So, but obviously April wasn't either. But Mom always told me about them girls named after months, days, states, and countries. Yes,
Really?
She said, don't trust them.
Yes, Lisa. Me and Rizal just went all the way off on that one. I'm sorry.
And it's funny that we've seen the same show.
Yes, it's so good though. Y'all have to see it. Lisa said many of us go back to because it's familiar territory. I totally agree. I think like most people, I've heard this from a guy, like most guys that mess around, like normally they don't incorporate new people in the mix all the time. They have their selective few who they are familiar with that they normally go visit, should I say. Like they're not always incorporating new people in the mix because it's familiar territory. That's what I heard from the guy.
Well, I always say stick with what you know.
But sometimes familiar territory cannot be healthy for you though. You're familiar with it because you're familiar with lack, you're familiar with abuse. And so you just stay there, not getting your needs met.
Yeah, well, you wait until something else or somebody comes along, and then it's like, okay, well, let me put this person that I've been beefing and fighting with all the time to see now what, this new person, what do they have to offer? If they don't have anything to offer what you're looking for, then you still stay. So it's almost you got 1 foot out, 1 foot in, but you hoping that you get a Hail Mary, that God's going to throw you a Hail Mary and you catch it in the end zone and score.
Yeah, because I was going to say, Rizal, how can you make a clear decision when you're dealing with you're emotionally tied to this one person and then you meet the other person? Like, how can you really make a clear decision when you're dipping in both?
Well, I would say go with what makes you happy.
That could be that temporary, that you could be in that honeymoon phase though at that time. You could be infatuated at the time.
Could be, but that's the chance that we take. Remember, roll the dice. It's a 50-50 chance.
Lisa says, I'm guilty of that, and it was the worst decision of my life.
So Lisa rolled the dice. After leaving, she rolled the dice, hoping that, she was going to roll a 7, but she crapped out. I don't.
Well, Lisa, did you go back because you thought it was going to be different, or did you go back because it was just familiar territory? Did you think the person was going to change, and because you already knew them, it was like, okay, they said they were going to change, or they showed you like in 2 weeks and they was like acting different for 2 weeks, and then they went back to the same old thing.
Because that's what they're familiar with. Didn't we just say that?
She said all of the above. That's hilarious. Wow, that's hilarious.
Hey, at least she's being honest, and she knows now. That's part of the healing.
Yeah.
When you know better, you do better.
So the relationship begins too soon after a breakup, and that's how you know that you are in a rebound relationship. And one way you will know is that they are dating you because they want to make their ex jealous.
All the wrong reasons to date you. If you're trying to make him jealous, you need to just go back to where you was and try to work on and fix that. I can't be your puppet like, oh, see me, look who I'm with. You see me, you see. Mm, mm.
Yeah, they posting all on social media every chance they get of them and the new person, and they know that they're friends with some of your friends, so they know it's going to get back to you, so they're trying to make you jealous.
Again, the level of maturity.
Number two, they end up talking about their ex more often.
Oh yeah, that right there will make me leave. Dude ain't even here, and you giving him more energy talking about him than talking about us.
But what if
I don't
it's
need
like
that.
what if it's like good stuff and it's not like I'm talking bad about the ex? It's like
I don't want to know about him. I'm not trying to get to know him. I don't know what happened. I don't care what happened. I'm
but
here for us. I ain't here for y'all. I'm here for us.
it's all good stuff. Like I'm not bashing them. It's one thing if somebody like bashing an ex every time you mention them, they like, oh, he was a dog, he did this, he did
But
that.
especially if it was about, that's going to happen. That's the first, you never look good trying to make somebody else look bad. And that's the first thing y'all do. If it's bash him to the other person, because they're going to ask, well, what happened? Why'd you break up? Well, he did this and he did that, and you doing this the same way he used to do, and this a flag and that.
No, you got to do the opposite. You got to say like, no, he was a good guy. It really didn't work out. We were going in two different directions.
Yeah, my thing, we were just better off as friends. That's it. It wasn't that it worked out. As I said, not everybody who's in love is meant to be together.
They avoid talking about their ex altogether. When you ask them about their ex, they silent. They not saying nothing.
Okay, so question: why would you ask them about their ex? I don't want to know what happened in your past. There's a reason there, unless there's something from you that I need to know. On why they're your ex.
I may ask just to see how you're going to respond to the question. If you're gonna bash them, I may ask just to see what you're gonna say and how you're gonna say it. So I want to see, especially if it's like your baby's mother, I want to see, because if we break up, I know you're gonna be talking about me that same way. So I just want to see what you're gonna say. And I think it's important. I don't have to get all up in your past, like, every little detail. Okay, how many fights y'all had? No, but I think that you should know something.
But that's the majority. I'm not saying it's you. I'm saying that's the majority of women. They want details. They're not happy with a one-worded answer or anything. They want details, how it went down, what she was wearing, what was the weather that day. They want details to the core. They want you to paint that picture so good so you can look at that person like, So you go back to your girlfriend. Oh, she was trifling. And now you see this female out in public, you giving her the stank look. And for what? You were only two people was in that relationship, you and him. So bringing the ex or anybody else into it is uncalled for. Leave that alone.
Okay.
And don't compare me.
Number 4, they feel bitter, even in a relationship.
Well, they could be saying to themselves, here I am again. Here we go again. Same old thing. Ain't nothing changed. Now this beep, 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 is doing the same thing that such and such did. Yeah, I can see some people being bitter. Now this one I can see. Feeling a little bitter.
Bitter because the relationship ended. I mean, if you with a new person, then if we don't have like a negative history, then the bitterness shouldn't be, at least on our part. I shouldn't have to feel the residue of that.
You know what I find very amazing? Me and all my exes are all still friends. We all still talk. They called, they asked me about my mother, how she's doing. They even asked me about my life now. I asked them about, it's just a simple, just a simple conversation. And I appreciate that, because you should always start as being friends. So if the relationship doesn't work out, you can always go back to being what you were.
Everybody ain't starting off as friends.
Well, then they starting off wrong.
I don't know. I think I don't talk. It's only one of my exes that I don't have. We don't talk. We don't have a relationship.
Mm-hmm. Did y'all do counseling?
Oh no, he wouldn't dare. He's a narcissist. He wouldn't dare go to counseling. That would be admitting he had a problem. He would.
Did you ask him?
He would counsel us.
Did you ask him to go?
Did I? Oh no.
Did you try?
Because then I would be saying that he had an issue.
Did you exhaust all means necessary before you just said, I'm done, that's it?
No, I never asked him to go to counseling.
Look, I'm giving some good show topics here for the next couple months or so.
I wouldn't ask him that. That would be excuse me, a slap in the face. Because this is a person that felt like they knew everything. So how dare?
I do have one. What about no plans to integrate you into their life?
No plans?
No plans.
If it's somebody that's on a rebound. Yeah. I could see that, because again, they still emotionally tied to the other person, or they just done all together. If they're
it's never about we and us, or how about we, go do this. You know what? I'm gonna go hang out with the boys, or I'm gonna go head down to the bar and have myself a drink, or I'm gonna go head out to the concert, and you ain't doing none of those things, to include this person, to give them a sense of security that, hey, I want to be here. I'm in this thing, with you. I want to see us together. I want to see it work. It's just no involvement with them, really. It's like, what are you there for then?
I think you have to address it. If that's the case, then you need to open your mouth and be like, hey, what are we doing?
Then that turns into an argument. What you mean, what are we doing? We here, aren't we? And
if you are with a person, if you're with a person that you have to walk on eggshells with, and you can't have a conversation without them getting an attitude or them shutting down, then that may not be your person. That's probably not your person. Lisa says, if we're going to talk about the ex, we must talk about our role in the relationship as well. Once I healed and allowed myself to grow, I was able to own my own mess as well. I still blame him for most of it. Hilarious. And I agree, because a lot of men feel like we're not accountable for the stuff that we do sometimes. Like, we don't own up to some of the things that we do. We're so busy blaming the man that we don't truly own up to our own stuff, our own mess.
Yeah, because y'all enjoyed up conclusions, trying to make them factual.
Yeah, I think the older I've gotten, I would just rather walk away. I would probably give you the silent treatment. I'm not gonna sit and try to prove you right. I'm just, it's your world. I'm going this way.
That's how I feel. I don't need you to prove anything to me. I'm not trying to prove anything to you. We can either we're gonna have to trust each other, or we're not. Like, I'm just tired. I'm depleted. I'm exhausted from going back and forth about either he say, she say, or things that you thinking, or phone, or social media, whatever the case is. I'm tired.
My younger days, you probably would have got cussed all the way out. Okay, you wouldn't have never won an argument ever. As I matured, it's just like, I'm not even gonna waste that breath. I'm gonna save that. I'm not gonna.
Why can't we just agree to disagree, and just let it be? Sometimes neither one of us don't have to be right, but there's always that one space where somebody got to have the last word. Somebody got to prove their point, that they're the one, their point is right, their side is right. Why can't we say, you know what, I see it from your side, and you know what, I see it from your angle.
I see it from your angle and my angle, and your angle is wrong.
That's why you got to approach a relationship with 3D and stop being one-dimensional.
Be accountable. Be accountable, like Lisa said, be accountable for your mess. Whatever it is that you contribute to the relationship, be accountable for, own up to it. I've had a guy to call me and apologize for the way he treated me. This was like maybe 10, 15 years later. He got in touch with me and he apologized to me. He was like, I'm so, as he sat back and looked at how he treated me, and he apologized for everything. And I was just like, wow, okay, thank you.
I think that was very noble of him. Even there was time he realized the mistakes, not at the moment then, but later on down the line, and wanted to cleanse and clear his soul, his spirit about it. I think that was very noble of him. But you wasn't very receiving about it, though.
Oh no. I was in love with that guy. I was like, thank you, I appreciate that. And then I kept the conversation short. I had the narcissist when we broke up. He apologized, like we broke up, and he apologized. He was like, I apologize for anything that I have. And this really surprised me because narcissists don't do that. Apologize. But he was like, I apologize for anything that I may have done wrong to you. Or, he was like, I'm sorry, I apologize. And I was just like, I was taken back because I was like, he's never, ever apologized. And I was just like, wow. And so I did the same thing. And then we left on those terms. That was the last conversation that we had, was us apologizing for whatever took place in the relationship. And that was it.
So you were left with a better feeling about the situation instead of having some type of animosity, because I'm quite sure if that didn't happen and you saw him, you'll look at him like, why is he here? And trying to burn a hole through his soul with your eyes.
No. That because my personality, that's just not me. Like, I've never been nasty to people. It's just not my spirit.
Is this the same one that you didn't ask to go to counseling?
Yes. Yes.
You and this guy had a long history.
Yeah, we dated 5 years.
Yeah, that's a long history.
Yeah, we have a child. Okay.
All right.
All right.
On to the next. Well,
so let's wrap this thing up, Rizal. The stages of a rebound relationship. I think we had a good conversation about being in a rebound relationship and some things that you can do to protect yourself and to rethink getting into a relationship with somebody who just got out of a relationship. And like Rizal said, some people may have stepped away a long time ago, mentally, physically. They just may be there in the household trying to get an escape plan to get out of there. So I would say still move with caution, to make sure, you know where their headspace is moving forward so that neither one of y'all can get hurt. All right, Rizal, you got 30 seconds to give us your words of wisdom because I know you got some.
Don't cut yourself off trying to let the other person who's trying to reach you. Meaning don't put them walls up if someone genuine is trying to reach you.
I agree. You should love like you're loving for the first time. I totally agree with you. I totally agree. All right, you guys, I am closing out with my sponsor, Allstate with Paula Kelly, who's located at 327 East Glenwood Lansing Road in Glenwood, Illinois. She can be reached at 708-758-3300. Please tell her that Warriors Talk sent you. Join me next Monday at 6 p.m. right here on Intellectual Radio. I will leave you with these words of wisdom. Love when you're ready and not when you're lonely. So join me next Monday at 6 p.m. right here on Intellectual Radio. As always, thank you for tuning in to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell. Co-hosting with me today is The Biz. Warriors Talk is changing lives one warrior at a time.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell. To find out more about Warriors Talk, follow at Warriors Talk, the number 1, on all social media outlets, and Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell on YouTube. Please join us next week and every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on intellectualradio.com for Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell, where we encourage, educate, and empower you into action.